Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nadia Sobrati coming to you live from Queens, New York at nadiasobrati.com. How is everyone doing today? I hope you all are doing well. Guys, it's raining so much in New York. We're having like so much rain, but I like it when it rains, you know? So anyway, it looks like Facebook is actually building my audience. And when you guys jump in, please, let me know where you're coming from so I can give you a shout out, all right? Hey, Errol, how are you? How are you doing, my friend? So today I have a great topic that I want to cover with everyone, right? Because so many of you are going to actually benefit from this. Hey, Terry, what's up? What's going on, Terry? So I want to wait for Facebook to build my audience a little more, guys. Guys, if you don't mind, can you please help me? Hey, Adam, how are you? If you guys don't mind, can you actually click share and share this maybe on your page or something so everyone can actually view this video? Because I don't really ask people to like really share a lot of my videos. But this one is going to have a lot of great content, and so many of you are going to benefit from this, and your audience as well, So if you can help me share this out, I will really appreciate this. So I'm actually going to share this on my fan page right now, because my audience can actually view this, because I have a lot of people on my fan page. All right, so I just shared it. So hey, Donald, how are you? So guys, today's topic, thank you all for who has actually shared this video for me. I really appreciate it. Hey Anna, how are you? Hey Luna. What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Hope you all are having an amazing day, you know. It's raining in New York, and I actually slept for 14 hours today. I really needed it because I was up late last night working on a story ad, long story. But yeah, you know, it takes time to do all these things, right? So hey Terry, thank you for joining me. Hey Ryan, how are you? What's going on, guys? Okay, so guys, today's topic, right? I want to talk to you all today about, do you know why millennials in the workforce should start their own business, right? And as we all know, guys, you know, in this economy, people are struggling. Millennials are struggling big time. They have tons of student loans. They can't afford to pay it off. Most of them are still living at home with their parents. Okay, most of them are still living at home with their parents. They're living paycheck to paycheck. You know, they're doing a job they hate. They're not making a lot of money. They're paying a lot of taxes, right? And that's the reason why they should think about starting their own business, right, guys? I'm sorry, guys, but it is whenever I decide to go live, I have this issue. 1 second. Right? So this is what we're going to be discussing today. All right? And you know, millennials are the offsprings of baby boomers, guys. So this is what we're going to be talking about, because I have a lot of people in my audience that are parents, that are baby boomers, because I have a wide selection of people that actually follows me and views my videos, right? So this, what we're going to talk about, is actually going to help so many of you. All right, guys? So I have a special guest that's actually going to be joining me today. All right? And his name is Adam. You know, we met last month on the leadership cruise, and we stayed in contact with each other. He is one of the leaders. He's 24 years old. You know, and he's actually started his own business. All right? So we're going to be discussing a lot of these things. And believe it or not, he was the youngest one on the leadership cruise. He was the youngest one. So Adam, where are you? Adam, I'm actually going to invite you right now. Let me see. 1 second, guys. Bear with me. Okay, Adam, I'm actually going to invite you now, okay?
Okay, can you hear me?
How are you, my friend? Adam, what's going on? Hi, guys. I would like to introduce you to Adam. He's one of the youngest leaders I actually came across.
Hey, what's going? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you
Okay.
very well.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
sure everyone in my audience can actually hear you as well.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure because I've never done the whole share, you know, the millennial actually coming
Really?
through and you know, learning something about technology. So
Well, this should be right up your alley.
yeah, right?
Because this is what a lot of millennials are actually focusing on. They're focusing on media, and they're actually focusing a lot on technology.
Yeah,
They really
absolutely,
are.
absolutely, 100%.
You
I'm just
know?
trying to get this mic worked on. Oh well, it'll work.
How have you been?
I've been great. Just hustling, you know, what we do outside of our day-to-day jobs, right? And
Yes.
you know, that's another thing too. I hear a lot of people saying, you know, oh, a lot of people who are in, are owning their own business. They're like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have a job or anything like that. But I think a lot of them, fail to mention that, everyone needs to pay the bills. So I was never one of those people to, down someone for saying, oh, you work for some corporation or whatever it may be. So, but yeah, I've been great. Just balancing it, life, work balance, work life balance, however you want to say it. So how about you?
I've been doing well. I've been extremely busy, since I got back on the cruise, with trainings and all of this stuff. But yeah, I'm doing really well. And it was so great to actually meet you on the cruise. And we had a really great time.
Oh, it was so much fun. No, it absolutely was.
It really was.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Definitely a lot of great people were there. Even people I didn't even know were there. I know the Conor McGregor lookalike, he was on there. I didn't even know
Yeah.
he was with us on the cruise. I thought he was just some random person. I actually thought he was Conor McGregor. So, but no,
Yeah.
a lot of fun, a lot of great things happened there, and met a lot of great people. So,
Well, Well, it was great meeting you,
yeah,
and I'm happy that we stayed in contact, and stayed in touch with each other.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
today, we want to talk about millennials and the workforce. And as you know, I know you have a job, right?
Yep,
And you also have your own business as well.
right.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and talk about the struggles, about taxes, talk a little bit about all these things, all the benefits of owning your own business,
Yeah, so
whereas
so
having a job.
I think finding that balance, or not even that balance, I think finding the right business to do is key. For those who don't know, Grant Cardone is the guy that I follow a lot, and one of the great pieces of advice that he gave me was, well, not just me, everyone else, but basically finding something that coincides with what you're doing, right? So let's say I work business to business sales, right? So I'm not going to
Okay.
go do something that's not business to business or doesn't have um, that kind of thing, that goes along with it, right? And the reason why that is because obviously you don't want to be, focusing on something that is that it's not going to be productive, right? And I feel and I've tried a one, right, and it just wasn't the right I guess fit, because it wasn't right. It wasn't the fit for what I was trying to do, and this is what I mean. So, for example, right now I
Yeah.
do four different things, right?
Oh,
So, and everyone's like, oh, how do you do four different things and not get overwhelmed? And that's kind of, and that's kind of true, because a lot of people think that you would get overwhelmed. But the way that it works is that you have to find something that doesn't take away time, energy, or effort from your main source of income. And if you find your main source of income takes a lot of time away from that, I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying maybe you should find something that's going to pay you the most amount of money to do the least amount of work, essentially.
I totally agree.
And
I
and
totally agree
and
with you.
yeah, if you're trying to make that transition, now obviously if you have a career and you want to, go ahead and move forward and would do with that, I would say go ahead and do it. But I have some specific reasons on why I do other stuff outside of where I work at now. One of them being is tax write-offs, right? So for example, I don't know which one it is. It's either or. It's you can't either write off your trip to work, or you can't write it home, or write it going home, right? I think it's write it going home. You can't
Yeah,
write off your mileage going home from work. However, let's say you did have a side business, whatever that business may be, right?
you could do that.
Right, you could do that. Not,
Yeah.
not only
You
that,
can write off so many things.
I think
So
there's
many
like
things.
450 something tax write-offs that you can do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the main reasons why I ended up doing it. Aside from everything else, all the other benefits, right? And which we'll go into later, because I have a few, written down, and some that I looked up that I'll go ahead and put on there. But
Okay.
that's one of the main ones that I found, is the convenience factor of it, right? Because I just got my paycheck the other day, and I wrote a status about it. I mean, it was like almost 40% in taxes that they took out.
But you know why? Because you're single, you're not married. And this is what
Right.
happens to a lot of people. This is what's happening. If you were married and you had children, then you will get a tax break, right? But the fact is that you're single and you're not married, you have no dependents or
Mm.
anything like that.
My
This is
dogs. I
why.
use my dogs as my dependents, and that's actually another thing too that I found out. Now, I'm not giving tax advice, so don't take it as tax advice.
I know.
But I have 3 dependents on my on my W-2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't have any dependents, and I never even use my dog. But I.
Well, this is the reason why, and this is some advice that I got from someone. I'm not going to mention who. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a dog tax, but at the end of the year, you're gonna. The key to taxes is not to owe money and not to get money back. You want to break even.
Exactly.
And kind of, and that's where a lot of people fall short at, because look, if their government's taking all that money and you get it all back, and you're like, oh, I can't wait for tax season to come in, right? But it's like that's taking money away from what you could be using it for, like a business, right? So
But listen to this.
go ahead.
People can't survive when they're taking 40% out of your paycheck every month. Okay? This is why so many millennials, they're still living at home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They cannot afford. Listen, they cannot afford to have, they cannot afford to have their own place. Or maybe a lot of them is renting a room somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult in this economy. It really is. You spend so many years in school, and most of them have degrees higher than bachelor's degree.
Doctorates. Even doctorates, yeah.
And they cannot get a good paying job. Some of them are making $12 an hour.
Yeah.
This is, and this is a great reason why they should actually really consider starting their own business.
Well, and right, and that's kind of one of the other reasons why I took a look at it also, because one, it's very low risk. You don't have to hire any employees, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, just a small amount of risk on it. I think the small amount of risk and the tax benefits alone completely outweigh everything else.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, obviously there's like an income, benefit to it also, but if you work hard enough at it, because I think a lot of these people, and I'm not talking about just network marketing businesses. I'm talking about, let's say,
in general.
Right. Like I used to have a social media advertising company, right? I had my LLC, I got all that taken care of, and I still use that to help me out with taxes. So I'm not just talking about, just network marketing. And I think that's where a lot of people get kind of in the mindset of, oh, you don't have to have your own boss, live free and have time freedom, and all that's great. But what a lot of people don't understand is that when you actually get into it and you actually have your own business, and you're going to actually work even harder than what you're doing at your job right now, because it's your business.
Exactly.
So I definitely, when I'm talking to people, especially with, the business that, you and I are both in, I don't push that at all. I mean, you can ask, my fiance. I come home from, where I work at during the day until about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like nonstop, right? So it's definitely, if you do it the right way, it's worth it. But I think regardless of, even if you, pursue it from a monetary standpoint, that's great. But like I mentioned earlier, just the low risk and the tax benefits of it just outweigh everything.
Exactly. It is a really low risk. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And this could change so many lives.
Absolutely.
This could change so many lives. Like, seriously, I've never seen anything like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's great that, you could focus on people in your age group, and you could show them a way how they can start a business that's low risk and is not going to cost
low
much.
Operating cost, if
low
any.
Operating cost, exactly.
If any, right? I mean, and you can work from anywhere, right? And that's kind of the tax benefit of it. You want to go, so for example, when we went on the cruise together, right? We had one meeting, the entire cruise, and it was strictly business. And then after that meeting, everything else wasn't business. So that's exactly. But it was business regardless. So everything was a tax write-off. So that's kind of, just think differently. And I think that's where a lot of people get kind of lost in the shuffle, is just there's so much information out there, right? And it's all at your fingertips, but it's where you get that information is probably the biggest and most important part of it. You know, I would definitely check sources before you're doing that. Like, for example, the three dependent thing. I don't know if that's the best route to do, but I had, you know, 5 or 6 CPAs that I talked to. And I said, hey, is this something that, you know, is smart to do? And they're like, I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no. So I just kind of took that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been working. You know, like last year, it was a complete wash, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's great.
Hmm.
You know?
As far as like, so when did you start getting like when did you own your own business? I know you mentioned that you kind of left where you
Well,
were
I
at, right?
started, I had my own business before. Well, I've only been in network marketing for a year. On
Okay.
the 24th of this month made it 1 year for
Okay.
me. So I've gotten a lot of results. Like I never really struggled in network marketing because I knew I had to learn the skills
Right.
to build this business, you know. But I went back to school at a later age and I studied healthcare. And when I got out of school, I could not find a job.
Mm-hmm.
I was finding low paying jobs, and I have high degrees. I have a lot of degrees. They're looking great on my wall, you know.
Right.
So I couldn't find a job, and I started Vita Health Consulting Group. I did that for 8 months, but that wasn't taking off.
Okay.
And then a friend introduced me to network marketing, and I went all in.
And that's
You
another
know,
thing too. And that's another
yeah.
thing too is going all in.
I
All
went
in.
all in. There was no plan B. And I did what I had to do. I buckled down, learned the skills,
And
so I could teach it to others now.
And you know what? Like speaking of starting your own business, I know someone who's a really good friend of mine, and they want to start their own business, right? And they're pretty high up in a corporation, um, and you know they have a pretty decent amount of money saved away in their 401k, right? Which
Okay.
I'm not a believer in 401k, and that's a whole nother
Neither do I.
topic. That's a whole nother topic.
I don't believe in pension either.
Right,
because
right.
you can work. Listen, I have friends, okay? They're older. They're like 64, 65 years old. They're still working because you know what? By the time they finish, they retire they're going to retire next year, this person. And you know what he's getting for his pension? $2,100 a month after working for 30 years.
Wow.
So I don't believe in pension. I don't believe in Social Security. I'm sorry, but I don't believe in any of these things.
Well,
and the thing is, I'm creating my life where I would not need that.
Right. And that's kind of well regardless of the facts. I know you're talking about the residual portion of it, but
Exactly.
but I'm talking about the going all in and like I mentioned, before we got sidetracked with the 401k topic, she had a decent amount of money and she's like, you know what, I'm thinking about possibly maybe investing half of it that way in case anything goes wrong, I still have half of it. And I said, look, when you take it out, you're going to be taxed like 40+%. Right?
And
penalties as well. I said, just look at it like you won the lottery for X amount of dollars, because you're not going to retire off of half of that. And it took you how long to save that up? She's like, I don't know,
exactly.
20 years. I said, okay. I said, so what happens if it doesn't? If everything goes sideways on it, right? What are you going to do? She goes, I don't know. I said, exactly. I was like, dude, go all in, cannonball, take all of it out. Like I said, I'm not giving advice. I'm just saying this is what I told her because it's true. It's so true. Because look, if you don't go all in, you're setting yourself up for failure because you still have that. Because Kelly and Tina, I was actually having a conversation with them, and they said if you have a plan B, you already know you're gonna not be successful at it. So
exactly.
I was like, look, if you, I said
100%.
Yeah, and I said
100%.
And I told her I was like, look, do you seriously want to do? She's like, yes, I've always wanted to do this. And it's true. Since I've talked to her and known her, that's what she's wanted to do is this. I said, if you truly 100% all in, just want to do it. I was like, dude, take all of it out and invest it. Just do it. Because guess what? If you don't go all in, you're not gonna be successful at it. I mean, from my experience.
If you have a plan B, plan A is not going to work out for you because you're not 100% committed.
Right.
You need to be committed. If you're going to go all in and you don't have a plan B, and this is what I did. I went all in, a year ago.
Yep.
I did not have a plan B. There was no plan B, and this was going to work for me no matter what.
Right. And that's it. and it kind of had like the burn the ship mentality, right? And I don't know if anyone's familiar with
Yes,
that.
burn the ship.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
I don't know what battle it was, or I don't know how historically accurate this was. I know it happened. I just don't know what time frame or who did it.
Yeah.
Regardless, it doesn't matter. Basically, this guy brought his troops, and they, stormed the beaches, if you will. And when they got there, he said the commander, whoever it was, said, "I want everyone to burn the ships." And they're like, "What?" They're like, "Yes, either we're gonna sit there, we're gonna fight, and we're gonna win, or we're all gonna die." And that's kind of the mentality that you got to have, and that's who ends up winning, and
That's
that's
it.
who ends up losing.
Yes.
Burn the ships and just go all in, and
You have to.
and you're right, and I think, and like I mentioned, that goes kind of back to the information. There's so many things out there, right, that you're getting pitched all day long, and I think in every person that I come into contact with, this isn't going to be perfect for what I do, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I had one business that I started. I actually quit my job. I saved up 6 months of living expenses and just quit my job entirely, which was not a right thing to do. Thank God everything worked out. But I mean, you just got to find something that clicks, right? It has to do with something that you're doing right now. It can't be it can't be something that is totally like okay. And I'm kind of finding it hard to put it into words because
Yeah,
it's
it
like
has to be
fitting a
congruent.
it's like
I
spinning yeah,
totally
it's like
get it.
fitting a square peg in a round hole, right?
Yeah.
You can't have square pegs in round holes. So I mean that's kind of what you got to do. You got to find something that just messes with what your day-to-day activities are, and just do it. And guess what? You might not make a ton of money at first in whatever you do, network
It takes
marketing,
time.
your own business, right?
Yeah. It takes time to make money in any business, but you know what though? A lot of people go into this business thinking, oh my God, I'm going to make $1 million. Yes, it's possible you could make that, but
Right.
you have to work and you're not going to make it
Absolutely.
overnight.
And you got to make
And
the decision. You have to make that decision, that conscious decision of like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to succeed. And I think, and then I think that I wouldn't necessarily say parenting, but I think that just the way that a lot of people are brought up and who they're brought up around, makes a huge difference in, what
oh,
they,
definitely.
yeah. And, I definitely didn't, grow up with like that mentality of like burn the ships, right? I credit my ADHD to, that I didn't pick up any bad habits for the people that I was around.
Good for you.
Like today, I was talking to my fiance, and she was like, "You don't listen to anything that I say." I was like, "Of course I do." She goes, "No, I was talking about like something the other day, and I totally like started saying something else that was weird, and you just agreed with it." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, now you know what you're dealing with." So, I mean, I just
It's all good.
right, and it all ended up working out. But I think to kind of like bring this full circle is anyone who's a millennial, right? And I think that's what 21 to 34, if I'm not mistaken.
30. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think it's 21 to 34, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's in there, right?
Like 30 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
They're the offspring of the baby boomers.
right.
So they were born like in the 80s and 90s. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're in what, 2017? So if they
Hmm.
were born in the 80s, yeah,
There you
the
go.
number makes sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of them graduating from graduate school and they're struggling.
Hmm.
Adam, they're struggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
And
can't
this is the
pay their
reason why,
bills.
because, and this is my firm belief. Look, if you want to be a doctor or you want to be a vet or something that involves like you have to know your stuff, right?
And even they're not making money.
Right, but regardless of the fact, if that's what they want to do their entire like, dude, I
Yeah.
totally want
Because
to
I
work
was
on
married to a
horses
doctor. I
or
know.
something like that, right? Like I've known people like that. So if that's what you want to do, dude, go to school, go do that. Dude, if you don't know what you want to do, and you say I don't know, I'll just go get like some like poetry degree or something like that. Dude, why? You're wasting money.
Exactly.
I've had at least 3 jobs, and I'm not bragging about this, but I've had at least 3 jobs. This one that I'm at right now, including that, mandatory. You have to have a degree, right? I don't have a degree. right? So I went through one semester of college. I was like, dude, this sucks. I don't like this. And I'm not saying it's the best route to go, but the point that I was going to is, let's say you wanted to get a business degree, right? Um, and you go see Professor whoever, and that's what they do full time. They're a teacher. Why am I learning from a guy that doesn't even own a business about running and owning a business? Who I need to be
Exactly.
talking to is the guy who he rents his apartment for, who owns 4,000 apartments, right? So that's the guy I need to go learn from, not the guy who gets paid, however much he gets paid annually to teach me about running a business that he doesn't even run.
Exactly.
It's all
Exactly.
hearsay.
You want to follow people that have a business,
Right.
that's running it. This is how you're going to learn. Because listen, college don't teach you how to become a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
They teach you how to become an employee and work for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, there's no job security. There's no job security.
I'm so glad you brought that up, and continue your thought, because I have something to add on to that.
Because listen, there's no job security, and this is what's going on in the workplace right now. All right. There are people that are actually been there, working in the workforce for 20 years.
30 years.
And when it's time to give them a raise, they get rid of them. They get someone that's out of school, pay them a quarter of the amount to do the same work. And they want you to have 3 to 5 years experience. Where are you going to get that?
I'll kind of give you a scenario that just happened at my job. This guy definitely wasn't a millennial. He, I guess, he wrote like half of his quota, right? And his quota was fairly high.
Okay.
But he came from a previous business that the company that I work for now acquired. And part of their pay structure was they were paying them residuals. Now, when I was being recruited or not being recruited, but I was, searching around for a job, and the recruiters were actually, doing stuff for me, I was brought a few different offers, and one of them was from a company that paid 10% residuals on everything, right? Annually. And I'm not talking about like their small contracts, like there's huge, right? And he said what ends up happening is these people, they'll make 200 or 300 grand a year, and they just stop working, and they have to find new people like every 2 to 3 years, because that's just the nature of the business. I said, okay, that's pretty cool. So he was actually one of those people, different company, but one of those people that were actually getting the residuals annually. So he got grandfathered into the old pay plan.
Okay.
So he's been in the industry probably in maybe 27 years, almost 30 years, right? Right. And on a Wednesday, I came in on a Wednesday, and I went up to him and said, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Good." He's a kind of grumpy old guy.
Yeah.
And they just let him go.
After 27 years.
27
See what I'm saying? Because
years.
I'm sure they got someone that's very young, just got out of college, or maybe have a few years experience. Yep. And they're gonna give him his position.
And guess what guess what he's not getting anymore? His residuals.
See? Listen, Adam, there's no job security. No job is safe. None of them. If you don't create your destiny or create your reality,
look,
you're not good.
If this thing right here, if they had the choice to pay this guy right here or this guy right here, guess what they're going to pay? This guy right here.
Yeah.
They're going to pay the lights.
That's it.
That's it. And you know what?
And listen.
And they should. And they should. And more power to them, right? Yeah. But that's kind of the mindset that we got to have also. So they're thinking of it from a business perspective. And that's one thing that I learned also. Eric Thomas, hip-hop preacher, for those who know who that is. He said, when you start making decisions based off principles rather than decisions, that's when you start seeing success, because behind every principle is a promise. Behind every feeling is something else, right? So they're making decisions based off principles. A majority of everyone is making decisions based off of feelings. And I think, everyone does it, right? I do. Everyone does. I try not to. But it doesn't end up always happening that way. But I think when you start becoming aware and conscious of your surroundings and what's going on, yes. I think that, thank God it's Monday, right? I think that's when it really starts to come full circle. That and accountability. So
Definitely.
Yeah. So be accountable for everything, anything good or bad that happens to you, because that's the exact reason why it's happening is because of you. I'm a firm believer in that also. But,
Yeah.
I know we kind of got sidetracked off of, the topic of why millennials should,
It's all okay.
yeah.
It's all good.
But I do firmly believe that if you're a millennial, dude, even if you're not a millennial, if you have that mindset of like, dude, I don't want to go to work tomorrow, which no one does. I mean, who knows? You might be one of those people. I don't know. Cool, and more power to you. But if you have that thought of like, dude, tomorrow's Monday, and you're not saying thank God it's Monday, you
Yeah,
might
you
want
should
to
be
think
doing something
about,
else.
yeah, you might want to think about branching off. Do like I mentioned. The way that I found the job that I'm at now is I beefed up my LinkedIn. I mean, really beefed it up, right? And I put content in there that was relevant to the industry that I was trying to get into. And I actually made a live about this also. I made it relevant to the industry that I was trying to get into. I went on in Atlanta and I added like 50 recruiters in that industry. 50. Nope, not even under, I think it was like right at 50.
Yeah.
And to this day, I probably get 2 or 3 job offers a month. And guess what? I tell them no every single time because I absolutely love the place that I'm at right now.
But
But
listen to this. I have people trying to recruit me on LinkedIn now because my videos are everywhere,
right,
right? My videos are all over LinkedIn. My videos are everywhere.
yeah,
So I had a recruiter message me last week, and she had this position for administrator in a hospital
mm-hmm.
in New York, and she wanted to know if I want to come in on an interview. I wrote her back and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not into healthcare anymore. I said, but if you're looking to start a business, please message me.
That's
And
awesome.
she was speechless. She was like, didn't even know what to say. But seriously, before I got into network marketing, I was applying to hundreds of jobs in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
All right. No one would even reach out to me. Now I have a very high star rating. I forgot what's the name of that on LinkedIn. The star
Oh, the
rating.
superstar.
The
Yeah,
star
yeah,
rating, the
yeah, yeah.
highest, right? So now I have all these recruiters,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever they look at your video, right, it shows you who's looking at your videos.
Right.
So I would like check, and I have all these recruiters now looking at business owners watching my stuff.
Yep.
But back then, before I got into network marketing, let me tell you something. I applied to so many jobs, and no recruiter
Same
was
here.
trying to recruit me.
I remember.
They wasn't trying to now they're trying to recruit me to listen. I will never work for a boss again. I don't want to work for the hospital. I don't want to be a slave. I am not doing that because I saw a better way to live and to make as much money as I want.
Yep. And I had that same exact response to what happened to me. I was working at a company. I was really young, even younger than I am now. I was 18. I literally just turned 18. And I mean, I was blowing it out the water, right? Number one in the company, number one in the district, right? And I was making a lot more money than a lot of people who were in upper management positions were making. I was leading conference calls. I had people calling in. I even had the VP of like half the world or whatever come in, right? Some crazy title.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, you're doing a really good job. Keep it up." And I was like, "Cool. When am I going to get the GM spot?" And because I was an assistant GM at that point. And he goes, "Hey, you're doing really good. You're just too young to get the position right now." And at that point, I left. I had way more than enough money saved up, so I left. That was the second time I left, and I had 6 to 7 months, living expenses saved up. And I ended up going out and doing my own thing. I went and did merchant services, which was really fun. And if anyone is interested, I would definitely take a look into that. Just Google merchant service. You can find reviews on good ones that are out there. But I ended up doing that, and I had another really big company. Same thing, right? They recruited me. Call me in, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come in for an interview?" I said, "Dude, I already know what corporate's like. I absolutely hate it. I'm doing my own thing right now. I don't want to deal with it. I really don't want to deal with it." And
isn't it amazing to be in a position?
Yeah.
To tell them I'm not interested.
Absolutely. And I think not even financially in a position, but mentally in a position, right? That's a big thing. So I ended up going for an interview. They sold me on the job, but It ended up working out, right? Everything happens for a reason, and I'm so glad that I took it. I probably wouldn't have been talking to you at this point, right? So who knows?
Yeah.
But I think,
Yeah, we probably would have never met.
right, absolutely. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and like I mentioned, you don't have to be a millennial. I know this kind of was labeled for millennials, dude. You could be whatever age you want. I forgot how old the guy was who started Kentucky Fried Chicken, or the guy who started McDonald's. They were like in their 50s. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how
But
old
they had
you
a
are.
lot of failures. They had a lot of failures before they
Absolutely.
actually was able to become successful,
And no one talks about that. No one talks about
no
the
one talks
failures that
about
they
their
had.
failures, but all they talk about, boom, look how much money they're making. But they don't see what goes on behind the scenes,
Right,
how
absolutely.
hard you're working.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of it happens to everyone, even the people, you know, that are watching this and that will watch this, right? You know, no one knows what's going on behind the scenes of what you're going through either. You might not talk about it. You might not be, you know, that necessarily, vocally opinionated on Facebook, but dude, it doesn't matter how old you are. I would get a side hustle. Do something. Do something that's
Yes.
going to make you get up and just get amped in the morning. Say, dude, as soon as I get off, I cannot wait to get off work. Not because it's Friday, not because it's Saturday, not because it's Sunday, or not because, you know, the game's about to come on. Because you know that as soon as you get home, you're like, dude, I'm getting to business, I'm getting to work, and I'm going to get
Because
it
you
done.
have a vision.
Right.
Listen, it's because you have a vision. So many people don't have that vision. They wish for these things. They want these things. They want to quit their jobs.
Yep.
And then you're presenting them with the opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
This is going to help you, right?
That's
and
it.
then they got then they got to think about it. What do you have to think about? You know, for me, I jump right in. If I have to think about something, that means it's a no.
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Even, don't think if it's one of those
like
things
this.
where, and that's kind of what happened with this, right? The company that we're both in now. I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, dude, let's do it, right?
Listen, I did not even have the product, and I built my team.
Right, same
and
here.
We started duplicating.
I think that's what happened with everyone.
We started duplicating the next day, like boom, 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 boom. You know?
Right.
Without even having the product.
Absolutely.
I was like, this is insane, you know?
And that's when you know, you made the right decision. And for those who are watching, I wouldn't even necessarily, you know, say that, you know, the company that we're in isn't necessarily the right decision for you. That's the reason why I'm not really mentioning it or talking about it, because you got to find what's right. Yeah, you got to find what's right for you. You know, if you're in the restaurant industry and you're a server, a waiter, a waitress, right? Maybe find something that has to do with food, right? Maybe not necessarily with food, maybe business to business sales. Find something that kind of meshes with what you're doing from a personality standpoint.
It has to be,
right.
yes.
It has to be
It has
affiliated.
To be congruent. So, you know, it'll work.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I would suggest doing, because like I mentioned, just the simplicity of it, the lack of risk that's there. I mean, obviously there's some sort of risk there, but not much. The low overhead cost, the tax benefits.
Listen, anyone can do this.
Anyone
can do this. You know, it's a process. Yes, you have to learn the skills. You have to take the training.
Right.
But if you follow a leader that's getting results, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get results.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
You know, this is what a lot of people don't get. What I've noticed, though, in this past year that I've been in this business, so many people want a different life. They want to change their life. They want to change the situation. They want all these things, right? But they're not implementing anything.
Yes, and you can have a great conversation with them.
Good. Yeah.
You can have one, because I think right now what we're having is beneficial to people who are watching. I truly do. And you can have a crazy conversation with them, and it could blow their mind. Absolutely blow their mind. And this is where mindset and awareness comes in. The next day, they won't even do anything different. They'll completely forget about the conversation that you're having, right?
Yep.
And you know, go from there. So that's kind of and you know what? So funny enough, I actually have to get off of the call. I completely forgot I have one at 7.
Okay, well,
I actually double booked it.
It's okay, because I have a training in by 8 o'clock.
Okay.
With, creating funnels. So I'm going to be tied up doing that. And but listen, It was great having you join me on this live, and I hope we were able to give, everyone a lot of value.
Yep. Yeah,
Because what we
absolutely.
talked about, this is reality.
Yeah, I
This is
agree.
reality. This is what so many people are going through, not just the millennials.
Yep. Everyone.
We all, everyone.
Absolutely everyone. So I know that that you're always on, and I know you always answer my messages, even when you're on a live. If you have any questions, reach out to Nadia. You can always reach out to me. Feel free to add me on Facebook or wherever. More than happy to help anyone get out.
Yes.
So feel free to reach out, and I will see you later.
Talk to you later.
All right,
Bye.
bye everyone.
Let me see. So what's up, guys? Hope you all were able to get a lot of value on this, right? Actually, we touched on a lot of different topics here. And this is what so many people are actually struggling with and what they're actually dealing with, right? So do you guys have any questions? Do you guys have any questions about this? I'm sure I have a lot of, oh my God, there's so many comments. Hey, Michael. Hey, David, how are you? David, who else do I have on here? David, you actually want me to invite you now? Okay, I'm going to add you. I'm inviting you now, David. You just have to accept. So guys, it was so great talking to Adam and getting his perspective on things, because he's really young and this is what so many young people are actually struggling with, Anyway, David, I invited you, but you didn't accept. So anyway, guys, I hope you all got a lot of value. If you need to message me for anything, please feel free to send me a message on Messenger and I'll be more than happy to get back to all of you, okay? Thank you all so much and I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.